You know where we are.
Museum of the YouTuber.
Quite so. Each one created and consumed in times of extraordinary crisis. We know you are no heretic. This is the true face of heresy. This heretic, and those who follow him, must be silenced.
Their slander offends all who walk the path.
What use am I? I can no longer create videos.
Not as you are, no, but become
An YouTuber.
You shall be set loose against this heresy with our blessing.
Expensive. Cheap. It's a dilemma we all must face. Spend more money for quality, but is it worth it? I answer which I think is better. But a wine, I have seen this type of video before. Well, my answer to that would be
No.
No, you haven't.
because I'm going to measure something that you can't. Fun factor. Most videos I see on this topic just do time-lapse of the same trail and conclude buy the best you can afford, the expensive one is better. And there's nothing wrong with that final answer, it's just that's like comparing a drag race between a cow and a horse. Like, of course the horse is going to be faster, but cheap bikes can be fun, and even more fun than an expensive one. I put my 2016 Intense Tracer Foundation up against my brother's bike, which is a Caliber 2.2 in a size small. And if you want to make a comparison between the specs, we're not going to do that in this video. You can watch my separate review of each bike to get that information. James May always says that cheap cars are more fun because it's exciting when you're on the ragged edge, which on cheap cars happens at slower speeds. We can also apply this to bikes. So let's compare the two. My Intense has hugely grippy tyres, which means it bites into the ground well, and you can corner at stupid speeds and still come out the other side. The Caliber, on the other hand, has a grippy front tyre, but has a fast, rolling, non-stick one on the rear. This means that on very dusty, rooty or wet trails, it wags at the rear end all over the place, which is huge fun. But if you go on a more advanced trail, it can get quite scary. So the fun factor also depends on how hard the trail is. On larger obstacles like this drop, I actually felt nervous, whereas on my Intense, I can make mistakes and still come out the other side. It just shrugs it off. But on the Caliber, it won't let you get away with anything. It's got a very harsh ride. Also, side note, the drop looks absolutely tiny on camera. I assure you it's a lot bigger in real life. I mean, it's not massive, but basically it's not nothing, okay? Something to think about is that easier trails get harder on a cheap bike. So if you don't have a variety of trails where you live, it might not be worth buying a very expensive bike, as you might not get as much of a rush out of it. The Intense is a speed machine. It plows through everything. It's super stable, super smooth, and you don't feel fatigued on it. As well as it's very light, which means you can maneuver around the trail with ease. I mean, of course it's better in a lot of ways because it's like 10 times the price. But if you're not hitting anything advanced, or you're not really going to get very difficult obstacles on the trail, you're not going to get a lot out of the bike. I see it all too often when a person has spent like $4,000 on an enduro monster and barely wants to do anything, and they've probably only just got into the sport. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that. It's their money, they can do whatever they want. But they might have actually found it more enjoyable to begin with if they're on a cheap bike, and then build on those skills before getting something expensive. So, to sum up, it's your money, I don't care what you buy.
The aroma is a bit special.